Imagine you are walking down a busy street, your mind occupied with thoughts of your day, when suddenly someone cuts in front of you, bumping into you without even an apology. How does it feel? Frustrating, right? Now, what if this wasn't just a random stranger? What if it was someone you care about, someone who has hurt you before, with words or actions that cut deep? How do you react? Do you feel anger rise within you, like a fire that's hard to control? In our daily lives, we encounter situations that wound us, whether it's the harsh words of a colleague, the unkindness of a family member, or even the betrayal of a close friend. It's almost inevitable that someone will hurt us. But here's a question that might surprise you. How often do we stop to ask ourselves why it hurts so much? Is the pain caused solely by the actions of others? Or is there something deeper at play within us? What if I told you that there's a way to handle these situations, not just react emotionally, but actually free yourself from the hurt? What if I shared with you insights from a wisdom that has been practiced for over 2,500 years, Buddhism, that can help transform your pain into something empowering? Welcome to Wisdom Writings, the channel where we explore life's challenges and find answers through ancient wisdom. In this video, we're going to talk about how to deal with the pain caused by others, using insights from Buddhism that can change the way you see yourself and the world around you. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people actually subscribe. So, please, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more valuable content. And while you're at it, drop down your thoughts in the comments. Let us know how you've dealt with hurt in your own life. Your thoughts matter, and together, we can create a space for healing and growth. Now let's dive into the first step of understanding why we hurt and how we can begin to heal from it. The nature of pain, why people hurt others and themselves. As we begin, let us reflect for a moment. When someone hurts you, what do you feel? Is it anger, confusion, or perhaps even sadness? It's natural to feel these emotions. But why do we feel this way? Why does the action of another person, whether intentional or accidental, seem to reach deep into our hearts and leave a wound? Think for a moment. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's words or actions felt like they pierced right through you? It could be a harsh criticism from a friend or the indifference of someone you cared about. When we are hurt, it feels personal, doesn't it? It feels as though the person's actions are aimed directly at us, as if they are intentionally causing us pain. But is it truly about us? Let me tell you something important. In the Buddhist teachings, it's said that all suffering arises from ignorance. Not ignorance in the sense of not knowing facts, but ignorance of our true nature, of who we really are. We forget that we are not separate from the world around us, that everything is interconnected. When someone hurts us, we immediately take it personally. We think, this person is hurting me because of something about me. But what if their actions are not really about us at all? What if the anger or hurt they express is actually a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not a personal attack on us? Most people hurt others because they are hurting themselves. This is a difficult truth, but a necessary one. When someone is in pain, whether emotional, psychological, or physical, they often lash out. They may not know how to deal with their own suffering, so they project it onto others. This projection comes from a place of confusion and struggle, not from a place of genuine intent to harm. They are trapped in their own suffering, and sometimes the only way they know how to release it is through words, actions, or behaviors that hurt others. Imagine, for a moment, that someone close to you has lashed out, causing you pain. It could be a harsh word, a betrayal, or even something as small as ignoring you when you needed them. Now pause. Take a breath and reflect. Is this truly about you? Is this pain truly yours to carry? Or is it a reflection of their own unresolved struggles? When we begin to see that others are struggling, it opens up a path of understanding. It's not about excusing their behavior. It's about recognizing that the pain they inflict is often a sign of their own brokenness. And here's the most important part. When we see that their pain is not really about us, we stop feeling like a victim. We stop absorbing their pain into our own lives. Now, don't mistake this for saying that their actions don't matter. They do. We must acknowledge the hurt that has been caused. But if we are to truly heal, we need to shift our perspective. This is where the wisdom of Buddhism offers us a profound teaching. We cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond to them. There's a story in Buddhism about the Buddha himself. One day, a man came to the Buddha, filled with anger, and began shouting insults at him. The Buddha remained calm, unshaken by the man's words. After a while, the man grew tired and asked, "Why aren't you getting angry at me? I am insulting you, and you say nothing." The Buddha looked at him and replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you choose not to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "It belongs to the person who offered it." The Buddha smiled and said, "In the same way, when you offer me your anger, I do not accept it. It belongs to you." This story carries an important lesson. When someone projects their pain onto us, it only causes us suffering if we accept it. If we choose not to absorb their anger, their hurt, or their negativity, it cannot harm us. It remains with them, not with us. This doesn't mean we ignore the pain or the actions that caused it. It means we refuse to take it personally. We refuse to let it define us. In our everyday lives, we are constantly confronted with situations that could cause us pain. Someone might betray our trust, a friend may gossip behind our back, or a loved one may not understand us. These things hurt, no doubt. But if we understand that the actions of others are more about their inner struggles than about our worth, we begin to free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. The root of suffering, according to Buddhism, is desire and attachment. We desire love, understanding, kindness, and respect from others, and when we don't get it, we suffer. We attach ourselves to the idea that others should treat us a certain way. We build expectations around how we believe we should be treated, and when those expectations are unmet, we experience pain. But here's the truth. No one owes us anything. When we let go of our expectations of others, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of disappointment and hurt. The more we hold on to the belief that others should act a certain way, the more we open ourselves up to suffering. But when we release those attachments, when we accept that people will act as they will, we can finally begin to find peace. This doesn't mean we stop caring about others or that we become indifferent. No, Buddhism teaches us that we can still show compassion, kindness, and love, but without attachment. We offer love freely, without expecting anything in return. We offer understanding, not because we need others to understand us, but because we genuinely want to ease their suffering. So, the next time someone hurts you, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this really about me? And then, if you can, shift your perspective. Recognize that their hurtful actions might not be a reflection of who you are, but a reflection of their own pain. When you see this, you no longer need to absorb their suffering. You can choose to let it go, to move past it, and to respond with compassion, not anger. In this way, we stop being victims of others' actions. We become observers, detached, calm, and free from the emotional turmoil that comes with taking everything personally. The true freedom comes when we stop letting the actions of others define our emotional state. We are not bound by their pain. We are free. Karma and the web of cause and effect, the unseen threads. Have you ever wondered why things happen the way they do? Why some people seem to get away with hurting others, while others suffer the consequences of their actions? It's easy to think of life as a series of random events. Sometimes we're lucky, sometimes we're not. But in the teachings of Buddhism, there's a deeper understanding that explains how everything is connected. This is where the concept of karma comes in. Karma is often misunderstood as some form of cosmic punishment or reward. But that's not quite it. Karma is the law of cause and effect. Simply put, it means that every action, whether good or bad, creates an impact that comes back to us in one form or another. Imagine it as planting seeds. When you plant a seed of kindness, it grows into something positive in your life. But when you plant a seed of anger, hurt, or deceit, it's only a matter of time before that seed sprouts and brings consequences. When someone hurts you, it's easy to fall into the trap of feeling like you've been wronged in some random, unjust way. It's painful, and it often feels like the world is against you. But here's where understanding karma can shift your perspective. What if the hurt you're experiencing is not just about the other person's actions, but about the deeper web of causes that led to this moment? Think about it. Every situation, every relationship, and every encounter is shaped by countless past actions, yours and others. The person who hurt you might be acting out of their own pain, which stems from their past experiences, choices, and actions. In this way, the cycle continues. Hurt leads to more hurt, unless we break it. In Buddhism, the idea is not to focus on blaming or punishing others for their actions, but to understand the deeper causes of suffering. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of justice and revenge when we feel hurt, but the truth is, by doing so, we only perpetuate the cycle of suffering. We react to harm with more harm, and the web of cause and effect grows tighter. But here's the liberating truth. The moment we begin to understand karma, we stop seeing ourselves as helpless victims of fate. Instead, we realize that we have the power to influence the outcomes of our lives by the choices we make. We may not have control over what others do to us, but we have absolute control over how we respond. For example, imagine you're hurt by someone's words. You could choose to retaliate, to let your anger rise and lash out, but in doing so, you're planting a seed of negativity. That seed doesn't just affect the other person, it affects you too. Anger doesn't just damage the person you're angry with, it also keeps you in a state of suffering. The more you hold on to that anger, the more you feed it, and the more it grows. Over time, this anger becomes like a heavy burden that you carry with you, making it harder to experience peace or happiness. On the other hand, when you choose not to react in anger, when you decide to let go of the hurt, you're planting a seed of peace. It doesn't mean ignoring the pain or pretending it didn't happen. It means choosing not to let that pain control you. It means releasing the need for revenge and instead stepping back and acknowledging that the actions of others are not always about you. People hurt others because they are hurting themselves. By understanding karma, you start to see that life is not just about the present moment. It's about the patterns we've created, the actions we've taken, and how those actions ripple out into the world. The Buddha taught that our actions have consequences, and those consequences are not just limited to this lifetime. They can carry on across many lifetimes, influencing not only our own lives, but the lives of others too. This is why it's so important to be mindful of our actions, because they don't exist in a vacuum. Everything we do, say, and even think has a lasting effect. But here's the most powerful thing about understanding karma. It empowers you. It shifts the responsibility from being a victim of circumstances to being a creator of your own experience. The past might have shaped you, but it doesn't define you. Your future is not locked into place by the mistakes or wrongs of others. Every moment is a new opportunity to plant new seeds, to create new patterns, to rewrite your story. When you're hurt, instead of getting lost in the pain, ask yourself, what am I learning from this moment? What can I do to break the cycle of suffering? When you stop reacting out of anger or fear, and instead choose a path of understanding and compassion, you start to create new karma. Karma that leads to healing, peace, and growth. You might be thinking, but how can I just let go when the pain feels so real? And it's true, the pain is real. But what's even more real is the power you have to heal that pain. Karma teaches us that we are not helpless in the face of suffering. We can respond with wisdom, with compassion, and with awareness. This is the true path to freedom. So, next time someone hurts you, don't immediately think of revenge or self-pity. Instead, pause. Reflect on the bigger picture. Recognize that the hurt is a ripple in the vast ocean of cause and effect. And most importantly, remember that you have the power to change the direction of that ripple. Your response, your actions, can shift the course of your life. You can plant seeds that lead to peace, forgiveness, and transformation, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Karma doesn't mean that bad things happen to bad people or that good things always come to good people. It's not about fairness in the way we often think of it. It's about understanding the interconnectedness of all things. It's about realizing that everything we do, no matter how small, has a ripple effect. And most importantly, it's about knowing that we are not just passive recipients of life's circumstances. We are active participants, shaping our destiny with every thought, word, and action. In the end, understanding karma gives us a sense of peace. It takes away the need for revenge, the need to make others pay for the hurt they've caused. Instead, we can step into our power, heal ourselves, and break the cycle of suffering that has been passed down for generations. This is the freedom that Buddhism offers, the freedom to rise above pain, to understand the causes of suffering, and to choose a path that leads us to peace and liberation. Attachment and aversion, breaking the emotional chains. As a Zen master, I often hear people say, "I am hurt because of what they did to me." And while that may seem true on the surface, the reality is a little deeper. The pain you feel is not just because of what others do, it's because of how you hold on to that pain. It is your attachment to the idea of how things should be, and your aversion to what you don't want, that creates this cycle of suffering. Think of a time when someone hurt you. Perhaps they said something unkind or did something that made you feel small or unimportant. Now, imagine you hold on to that hurt as if it were a stone in your pocket. You carry it with you, day after day. Every time you think of it, it feels heavier. And as you walk through life, you're not walking freely. You're weighed down by all that emotional baggage. But what if I told you that the stone is not actually in your pocket? What if I told you that you are the one who placed it there? And the reason it feels so heavy is because you are unwilling to let it go. You're attached to it. And because of that attachment, you continue to suffer. Attachment is not just about clinging to things, but also to the ways we think life should be. It's about holding on to certain expectations, beliefs, and desires. We want things to be a certain way. We want people to treat us with respect, to be kind, to value our feelings. When things don't go according to our plan, we feel hurt. The pain comes not just from the event itself, but from the resistance to it, from our refusal to accept the reality that things have unfolded this way. In Buddhism, we understand that attachment is one of the root causes of suffering. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from craving, wanting things to be different from what they are. But life is not always going to meet our expectations. People are not always going to treat us the way we want them to. And the more we hold on to these desires and expectations, the more we will suffer. Now, let's talk about aversion, the other side of the coin. Just as attachment keeps us chained to things we crave, aversion binds us to the things we want to avoid. When someone hurts us, we naturally want to push that pain away. We want to forget, to erase, to run from it. But by doing so, we only strengthen our aversion, and the cycle continues. If you walk through life trying to avoid pain, you will find that it always catches up with you. The more you try to push it away, the more it clings to you. It's like trying to push a heavy rock into the ocean. No matter how hard you push, it always rises back to the surface. So what is the solution? It's simple, yet profoundly difficult. It's about learning to let go of both attachment and aversion. Letting go does not mean ignoring your feelings or pretending that hurt doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that you should just accept everything that happens to you without question. Rather, it means accepting the impermanence of life. It means understanding that the pain you feel is temporary, that it will pass, just as everything else does. Imagine you are holding a hot coal in your hand. The longer you hold on to it, the more it will burn you. The moment you let go, the pain stops. The same applies to emotional pain. Holding on to your attachment to how things should be, or your aversion to what you don't want, is like holding on to that hot coal. You can choose to release it, but letting go requires awareness. It requires you to be present with your emotions, not running from them, but acknowledging them without judgment. When you feel hurt, rather than clinging to the pain or pushing it away, sit with it. Be present with the feelings in your body. Where do you feel it? What does it feel like? Does it feel tight, heavy, sharp? When you observe it without attachment, it begins to lose its grip on you. It's important to understand that letting go doesn't mean you won't feel pain anymore. It means that you won't allow the pain to define you, to control you, or to dictate your actions. You can still feel sadness, anger, or frustration, but you don't have to identify with those emotions. You are not your pain. You are the awareness behind it. This process of letting go also involves understanding the nature of impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing. The person who hurt you, what if they are simply acting out of their own pain, their own confusion? They, too, are bound by attachment and aversion. Just like you, they are suffering in their own way. This doesn't excuse their actions, but it helps to see things from a different perspective. When you understand that everyone is struggling with their own emotional wounds, you can start to release the grip that attachment and aversion have on you. To truly break free from the cycle of suffering, you must practice compassion for others, but also for yourself. This is where the wisdom of Buddhism can transform your understanding of pain. Compassion doesn't mean letting others walk all over you. It means understanding that we all share in this human experience of suffering. And by releasing your attachment to being hurt, by letting go of the need for things to be different, you can find peace within yourself. There is a beautiful teaching in Buddhism called the middle way. It's about finding balance between attachment and aversion, between desire and rejection. It's about learning to live with life as it is, not as you wish it would be. When you walk the middle way, you are not clinging to your desires, nor are you pushing away what you don't want. Instead, you simply allow life to unfold naturally, with acceptance and peace. You might be wondering, how can I let go when the pain feels so real? And yes, the pain is real. It's not about denying the reality of your hurt. It's about recognizing that you are more than your pain. You are the awareness that observes it. And the moment you stop resisting, the moment you stop attaching yourself to the pain, it begins to lose its power over you. In the end, attachment and aversion are not the enemy. They are simply part of the human condition, but they don't have to control you. Through awareness, mindfulness, and the wisdom of letting go, you can break free from these chains. You don't have to carry the weight of your pain forever. You can release it, and in doing so, you set yourself free. Understanding the ego, the illusion that feeds hurt. Imagine you're walking through a beautiful garden, your senses filled with the soft rustling of leaves, the sweet scent of flowers, and the warmth of the sun on your skin. It feels peaceful, doesn't it? Now, imagine if, suddenly, someone comes along and stomps on your favorite flower, crushing it without a second thought. You feel hurt, angry, confused. Why? Because that flower was precious to you. But here's the catch. The flower didn't hurt you. What actually hurt was your attachment to it. This attachment comes from something we all experience, the ego. The ego is like a lens through which we see the world, but it distorts everything. It convinces us that we are separate from others, that we are unique, special, and that the world should revolve around our needs, desires, and expectations. When things don't go the way the ego wants, it feels hurt, betrayed, or angry. But what if the problem isn't the other person? What if the root of your pain lies in your own attachment to your ego? You see, the ego thrives on one thing: control. It wants to be right, to be in charge, to feel superior, or to avoid feeling inferior. Every time someone challenges this image, whether by not agreeing with you, criticizing you, or even just ignoring you, the ego feels threatened. And when the ego feels threatened, it reacts. It pushes back. It lashes out. It gets hurt. But here's a simple truth. The ego is not who you truly are. It's a collection of stories, beliefs, and ideas that you have accumulated over time. These stories make you think you are someone important, someone who deserves respect, love, and validation. But none of this is real. It's just a made-up story, a character in a play that you are both the writer and the actor of. When you identify too closely with this ego, every little thing that goes wrong feels like an attack on your very existence. But in reality, your ego isn't who you are. It's just a false sense of self. In Buddhism, this concept is called anatta, or non-self. It teaches us that there is no permanent, unchanging self. What we call I or me is just a collection of fleeting thoughts, emotions, and experiences. So when someone hurts you, it's not you they're hurting. They're simply interacting with the story of you, the ego. And the ego, in its vulnerability, reacts by feeling hurt, angry, or upset. Think about it for a moment. When someone insults you or criticizes you, what part of you is actually hurt? Is it your true self, the part of you that is calm, peaceful, and unchanging? Or is it the ego, the fragile, self-centered part that craves approval and control? More often than not, it's the ego that takes the hit. But what happens when you begin to recognize that you are not your ego? When you can see it as just a temporary and illusory construct, it loses its power to hurt you. The next time someone insults you or says something unkind, you might still feel the sting, but you won't be consumed by it. You'll be able to step back, observe the pain without identifying with it, and let it go. This doesn't mean that you're becoming numb or indifferent. It doesn't mean you stop caring about others or stop having emotions. What it means is that you learn to experience these things without becoming overwhelmed by them. You see them for what they are, passing experiences that don't define you. Let's take a simple example. Picture yourself in a conversation with someone, and they say something that offends you. In that moment, your mind might race. You might feel your heart tighten, your thoughts spiraling into anger or resentment. But if you can pause, just for a moment, and notice that this reaction is coming from the ego, you might be able to take a step back. You don't need to respond immediately. You don't need to defend yourself or retaliate. You can simply acknowledge that the ego is feeling hurt, but that's not truly you. In that moment, you can choose a different path. Instead of reacting with anger, you can respond with compassion or understanding. Instead of defending your ego, you can let go of the need to be right and simply be present with the other person. You can see them not as someone who is hurting you, but as someone who is also struggling with their own ego. We all have egos that create suffering, and when we realize this, we can approach others with empathy rather than defensiveness. This practice of observing your ego is not easy. It takes time and patience. But the more you practice, the more you begin to see that the pain you feel when others hurt you isn't about them. It's about the ego that believes it's being attacked. And when you start to understand this, the pain begins to lose its power. Buddhism teaches us that the way to true freedom is not through fighting our ego, but by letting go of the need to identify with it. The more we do this, the more we begin to experience peace in the face of life's challenges. We stop being at war with ourselves and others, and instead, we find a deeper connection to who we truly are, something beyond the ego. So, the next time someone hurts you, instead of reacting with anger or hurt, take a moment to reflect. Is this pain truly yours, or is it just the ego reacting? When you can separate yourself from the ego, you'll find that what once felt like a wound becomes an opportunity for growth. You begin to see that no one can truly hurt you unless you let them. The ego's illusion is the source of your pain, but the truth of who you are is free from all of that. By understanding the ego and its role in creating pain, you begin to free yourself from its grip. You begin to live with a deeper sense of peace and compassion, not just for others, but for yourself as well. The journey of healing starts within, by recognizing that the pain caused by others is often just a reflection of the ego's attachment to its own identity. When you let go of that attachment, you let go of the pain. And in that release, you find true freedom. So, in the end, the question is not whether others will hurt you, because they will. The real question is, how will you respond? Will you react from the fragile, wounded ego, or will you rise above, understanding that the hurt is not about you? The choice, as always, is yours. The power of compassion, disarming pain with kindness. In this world, we are all connected in ways we don't always see. When someone hurts you, it's easy to feel the sharp sting of betrayal, the heat of anger, the weight of sadness. These emotions feel real, like they are coming from the person who hurt you. But if we pause for a moment, we might realize something profound. The pain we feel is not only about what the other person has done. It's also about how we respond. And what if there was a way to respond to pain in a way that doesn't add more hurt, but instead brings healing? Imagine for a moment, instead of reacting with anger, with bitterness, or even with withdrawal, what if you could respond with compassion? Compassion is not something that comes easily, especially when we feel wronged. We are wired to protect ourselves, to defend against the pain we feel. But what if the very thing that disarms the hurt is not a shield, but an open heart? In Buddhism, compassion is often described as karuna. It is not sympathy or pity. It is the deep understanding of another's suffering and the genuine desire to relieve it. But here's the twist. Compassion doesn't just benefit the one who is suffering. It has the power to heal both the giver and the receiver. When you approach someone who has hurt you with compassion, you are choosing to see them not as an enemy, but as a fellow traveler on the road of life, someone who too is struggling in their own way. You might ask, how can I show compassion to someone who has hurt me? How can I be kind to someone who has wronged me? The answer lies in understanding that their hurtful actions are often not about you at all. Hurt people hurt others. When someone lashes out, they are usually acting from a place of their own pain, frustration, or fear. It's not an excuse for their behavior, but an opportunity to see them more clearly. Think about it. When you are angry, do you feel better for holding on to that anger, for feeding it, for letting it grow? Or do you feel trapped in its grip, unable to move forward, stuck in the cycle of pain? The same happens when you hold on to resentment or grudges. It's like carrying a heavy burden that only weighs you down. But when you choose compassion, you are letting go of that burden, setting yourself free. Compassion does not mean ignoring your feelings or pretending that nothing happened. It doesn't mean you have to immediately forgive someone or forget what they've done. Compassion is simply the ability to see beyond the hurt, to understand the deeper truth that everyone is struggling in their own way. And when you choose to approach someone with compassion, you are not just healing them, you are healing yourself. It might feel difficult at first. It might seem unnatural, even impossible. But when you begin to practice compassion, you create a shift inside yourself. Instead of reacting out of anger, frustration, or fear, you begin to respond with understanding, with openness, and with love. This doesn't mean you allow people to walk all over you. Compassion also means setting boundaries, respecting yourself, and knowing when to walk away. But it's the intention behind your actions that matters most. When you practice compassion, you invite peace into your life. You disarm the power of the other person's actions. Their words and behavior no longer control you. Instead, you are in control of your own heart, and your heart chooses peace over conflict, understanding over judgment, love over hate. Buddhism teaches us that we are not separate from each other. The joy and pain we experience are interconnected. When you heal yourself through compassion, you contribute to healing the world. It's not always easy, but every time you respond with kindness, even when it feels hard, you are creating a ripple effect that can change everything. You might not see the immediate impact, but trust that your act of compassion will make a difference, not only in your own life, but in the lives of those around you. If someone hurts you, instead of returning the hurt, try to return love. Instead of responding to anger with more anger, respond with patience. When someone is rude, respond with kindness. And when someone betrays you, choose forgiveness, knowing that this act of compassion is not for them, but for you. It is a gift you give to yourself. In this way, compassion becomes a tool of liberation. It frees you from the cycle of pain and reactivity. It allows you to live with an open heart, unburdened by the past, unchained by the actions of others. And in turn, it opens the door to true peace. You may not be able to control what others do, but you have complete control over how you respond. And with compassion, you can choose to let go of the hurt and rise above it. When you choose compassion, you transform not just the situation, but also your own mind and spirit. You become the master of your own emotions. You no longer allow external circumstances to dictate how you feel. Instead, you create your own inner peace, a peace that no one can take away from you. In Buddhism, we learn that everything is temporary. Our pain, our joy, our anger, and our love. Nothing lasts forever. By cultivating compassion, we acknowledge this truth and choose to flow with life's ups and downs without becoming attached to them. When you respond to hurt with compassion, you are embracing life as it is, without resistance. You are learning to be at peace with whatever comes your way, knowing that your response is the only thing you truly control. So, the next time someone hurts you, take a deep breath. Don't let the anger take hold. Don't let the pain fester inside you. Instead, open your heart. See the person who has hurt you not as an enemy, but as a fellow human being, someone who is also struggling with their own pain. In that moment, you will disarm the hurt, not just for them, but for yourself as well. Compassion is the key to transforming pain into peace. It is a power that lies within each of us, waiting to be awakened. When we choose to act from a place of compassion, we not only heal ourselves, but we also create a world that is kinder, more understanding, and more loving. And in a world full of pain, isn't that the kind of world we all need? Letting go, forgiveness through the Buddhist lens. When someone hurts us, the immediate reaction is often to hold on to the pain. We replay the incident over and over in our minds. Each time it feels as though the wound is reopened. It becomes a part of us, this pain, this anger. But what if I told you that the more we hold on to it, the more we allow ourselves to be bound by it, to be trapped in a cycle of suffering? This is where Buddhism comes in, offering us the most powerful tool for healing, the art of letting go. Forgiveness in Buddhism is not about condoning the hurtful actions of others. It's not about saying, what they did is okay, or pretending like it didn't happen. No, forgiveness in the Buddhist sense is much deeper. It's about releasing the emotional hold that the situation has over us. It's about freeing ourselves from the pain that we continue to carry. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack full of rocks. Every time someone hurts you, you pick up another rock and put it in that bag. Over time, it gets heavier and heavier. You begin to feel the weight of every single one of those hurts, each rock representing a wound, a betrayal, a moment of pain. Now, think about this. If you never let go of any of those rocks, you'll be weighed down forever. You won't be able to move forward. You'll be stuck in that place, carrying that burden. But what if you could put the backpack down? What if you could set it aside and walk freely again? This is what forgiveness offers you. The ability to put the backpack down. It's not easy. It's not something that happens overnight. But it's possible. In Buddhism, the practice of forgiveness is deeply tied to the understanding of impermanence, the idea that everything, including our pain, is temporary. The hurt you feel today, the anger you carry, the bitterness that lingers, it is not permanent. It is a passing moment in time. If you hold on to it, you are choosing to let that moment define your present and future. But if you let it go, you free yourself from its grip. In the teachings of the Buddha, There's a famous story about a monk who was verbally abused by a passerby. The monk remained calm and silent, and the passerby, confused by the monk's reaction, asked him, "Why do you not respond to my insults?" The monk simply replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you choose not to accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The passerby realized that the insults were like a gift the monk refused to take. The anger and hurt belonged to the one who offered it, not the one who chose to let it go. The same is true for you. When someone hurts you, they are offering you a gift of pain. The choice is yours. You can accept it, carry it, and let it define you, or you can refuse it. By refusing to accept the pain, you are choosing not to let it control your emotions, your actions, your thoughts. You are choosing freedom. Forgiveness in Buddhism is also tied to the practice of compassion. It's about understanding that those who hurt us are often themselves in pain. Their actions may stem from their own suffering, from a place of fear, insecurity, or ignorance. This doesn't mean you excuse their behavior, but it helps you to see them as human beings who are also struggling. When you can begin to understand the pain of others, it becomes easier to forgive them, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You deserve freedom from the chains that bind you to the past. But forgiveness is not just for others, it's for yourself. Sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is yourself. We hold on to guilt, regret, shame, and self-blame, thinking that we deserve to suffer because of our mistakes. But Buddhism teaches us that we are all imperfect. We are all human, and we all make mistakes. The key is to learn from them and to let go of the negative emotions that keep us trapped in the past. Self-forgiveness is an act of compassion towards yourself. It's the acknowledgement that you are worthy of healing, worthy of peace, and worthy of moving forward. One of the most powerful Buddhist practices related to forgiveness is metta meditation, also known as loving-kindness meditation. In this practice, you focus on sending out love and compassion to yourself and to others. You begin by silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I be at peace." Then, you extend these wishes to others, including those who have hurt you. It may feel unnatural at first, but with practice, you start to shift your perspective. You begin to see the person who hurt you not as an enemy, but as another human being struggling just like you. Forgiveness is a form of detachment, not from people, but from the negative emotions that bind you to the pain. It doesn't mean that you stop caring. It means you stop letting your emotions be controlled by the actions of others. You learn to respond, not react. You learn to choose peace over conflict, love over hate, understanding over anger. In the end, forgiveness is not about the person who hurt you. It's about you. It's about your own healing, your own peace, your own freedom. When you let go of the pain, when you release the burden, you make space for joy, for lightness, for love. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door to a life free from suffering. A life where you can walk with your head held high, no longer weighed down by the hurts of the past. So, take a moment and ask yourself, what are you holding on to? What rocks are you carrying in your backpack that you can begin to put down? Who do you need to forgive, including yourself? The path to peace begins with letting go. Choose freedom. Choose forgiveness. Choose peace. And remember, in Buddhism, forgiveness is not a one-time act. It's a practice, something that we return to again and again until we find ourselves free, light, and whole. Boundaries and wisdom, when to stay, when to walk away. In the journey of life, there comes a time when we must face the truth. Not all relationships or situations are meant to last. There are times when we stay because we hope things will change, that people will see the error in their ways, or that somehow the hurt will fade away. But sometimes, no matter how hard we try, no matter how much we hope, the pain doesn't lessen. The behavior doesn't change. And that's when the wisdom of knowing when to stay and when to walk away becomes vital. You see, it's not always about cutting ties or abandoning others. It's about knowing your limits. It's about recognizing when the situation is no longer healthy for you, and when your peace of mind is more important than holding on. It's like a garden. If a plant is diseased and no amount of care will bring it back to life, sometimes the best thing to do is to pull it out so the rest of the garden can thrive. But how do we know when it's time to walk away? Often, we wait for a sign, hoping for the perfect moment or the right words to come. But deep down, you already know. You feel the tension in your body, that knot in your chest every time you see or think of that person or situation. You feel the drain of energy, the emotional fatigue that grows with each encounter. When you've reached this point, it's time to listen to that inner voice. Boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines for your well-being. It's not about being cold or indifferent. It's about self-preservation. Think of it like the boundary lines on a map. They're not there to restrict movement, but to help you understand the space you can safely travel in. If you continually step outside those boundaries, you'll find yourself lost in unfamiliar territory, unable to return to your center. Buddhism teaches us that attachment is one of the root causes of suffering. We become attached to ideas, people, and outcomes. We hold on to the belief that things should be a certain way, that people should act in a particular manner. This attachment blinds us to the reality that people change, but sometimes they don't change in ways we expect. And that's okay. It's part of life. The real challenge, however, is accepting that some people might never change in the way you wish. Some might continue to hurt you, knowingly or unknowingly. It's in these moments that you must make a decision. Do I stay and endure the suffering, or do I protect my heart and step away? Walking away doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're choosing yourself. You're choosing peace over conflict, healing over harm, and wisdom over ignorance. And it's not easy, is it? Walking away feels like a form of failure, especially if the relationship has been a big part of your life. It's scary because the unknown is always intimidating. But let me share something important. Sometimes, walking away is the most loving thing you can do for both yourself and the other person. By walking away, you create space for growth, for learning, and for healing, for both of you. Think of it this way. If you're holding on to something that's not meant for you, you're preventing something better from coming into your life. If you stay in a toxic situation, you're not allowing yourself the freedom to experience joy, peace, and love that could come from walking in a new direction. So, by setting boundaries and sometimes choosing to walk away, you create room for new experiences, new people, and new opportunities that will nourish your soul. But how do you set these boundaries? It starts with awareness. The more you understand your needs, your emotional state, and your limits, the clearer your boundaries will become. It's not about being harsh or creating unnecessary distance, but about communicating your needs in a way that is firm yet compassionate. A boundary is a way of telling the world, this is where I stand, and this is what I need to protect my peace. Setting boundaries also means accepting that not everyone will respect them. Some people will challenge them, push against them, and try to make you feel guilty for asserting yourself. But here's the thing. When you know that a boundary is there to protect your well-being, you stand firm. You don't have to be harsh, but you must be resolute. And as you practice this, you'll begin to notice how much more at ease you feel. It's like a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. But let's not confuse boundaries with walls. A wall is something that cuts you off completely. It's defensive, and it's built out of fear. Boundaries, on the other hand, are built out of wisdom. They allow you to stay open to love and connection, but they also protect your heart from being continually harmed. A healthy boundary is a way of showing the world that you value yourself enough to protect your energy. If you've been hurt by someone repeatedly and they show no sign of change, it may be time to ask yourself, what am I staying for? Are you staying because you're afraid of being alone? Are you staying because you feel obligated, even if it hurts? Are you staying because you believe they will change? It's hard to let go of the hope that things will improve, but sometimes you have to accept that the change you're waiting for may never come. And in that acceptance, you find peace. Walking away is not always a permanent decision. Sometimes it's just a pause. By stepping away, you allow yourself the clarity and space to reassess the situation from a distance. You give yourself the chance to breathe, to heal, and to regain your strength. When you return, if you do, you will do so with a clearer mind and a more balanced heart. And if you choose not to return, then you've made the choice that is right for you. Remember, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to step back and say, I've given all I can, and now it's time to take care of myself. Walking away doesn't mean you're abandoning anyone. It simply means you're choosing to prioritize your peace and well-being. There's no shame in that. In fact, it's one of the most compassionate things you can do, both for yourself and for others. In the end, life is about balance. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you continue to pour all your energy into a relationship or situation that drains you, you'll have nothing left to give. By setting boundaries and knowing when to walk away, you reclaim your energy, your peace, and your life. And that, my friend, is the greatest gift you can give yourself. So, the next time you feel the weight of someone's behavior pressing on your soul, take a moment. Ask yourself, do I need to stay, or is it time to step away? Trust in your wisdom. Trust in your ability to make the right choice. And remember, you are worthy of peace, love, and respect, no matter the situation or the person involved. The inner revolution, transforming pain into freedom. When we think of pain, we often imagine it as something that holds us down, something that keeps us trapped in a dark, painful place. The natural instinct is to want to get away from it, to run, to hide, or to pretend it's not there. But what if the path to freedom is not to run away from the pain, but to sit with it, to face it directly, and to understand it? What if, by accepting the pain instead of fighting it, we could find the way to transform it into something entirely different? Pain, whether emotional or physical, often feels like a weight on our hearts, an anchor that drags us into despair. It can feel isolating and suffocating. But when we begin to truly understand the nature of suffering, we realize that it doesn't have to define us. Pain is a part of life, but it is not the whole story. The more we try to avoid it, the more we give it power over us. The more we try to suppress it, the stronger it becomes. It holds us in its grip, feeding off our resistance. But Buddhism teaches us something very profound. Suffering is a part of life, but it is also a doorway to awakening. When we stop resisting the pain, when we allow ourselves to feel it fully without judgment, something incredible happens. We begin to see the true nature of the suffering, not as something that controls us, but as something that can lead us to greater wisdom, deeper compassion, and ultimately, freedom. This may sound counterintuitive, but think of it this way. Imagine you are standing in front of a locked door, with the key to that door sitting right in your hand. You've tried everything to unlock the door except using the key. The more you struggle, the more frustrated you become. Now, imagine if you simply let go, sat down, and looked at the door without any desire to force it open. Slowly, you might realize that the key you've been holding all along is the act of acceptance, the willingness to acknowledge that the pain is here, and to simply be with it without judgment. Pain has a way of magnifying when we fight against it. The more we push it away, the more it grows in size and power. This is the same with the emotions tied to pain: anger, frustration, betrayal, sadness. But what if we took a moment to breathe and really observe our emotions? Instead of labeling them as good or bad, we could simply watch them as they arise, acknowledging them as they are. This simple shift in perspective can lead us to liberation. In Buddhism, this practice is known as mindfulness. It's the practice of being present with our emotions, thoughts, and physical sensations, without becoming attached to them. We don't identify ourselves with the pain, we simply observe it. We watch as the anger rises, as the frustration builds, but we don't let ourselves be swept away by it. We sit with it, let it exist, and watch it pass by, knowing that it is temporary. This is where the inner revolution begins. It's not about trying to change the world around us. It's not about expecting others to treat us better or to stop causing us pain. It's about looking within ourselves and realizing that we have the power to choose how we respond. We have the ability to transform our suffering into something greater. When we practice mindfulness in this way, we begin to see that the pain we feel is not a permanent part of who we are. It's simply a passing wave in the vast ocean of our lives. The more we practice letting go of the need to control the pain, the more we free ourselves from its grip. We realize that we are not the pain. We are the awareness that is observing it. And this shift in perception is what allows us to experience true freedom. This is also where the power of compassion comes in. Compassion isn't just for others. It's something we must first extend to ourselves. When we feel pain, we tend to be hard on ourselves. We judge ourselves for feeling hurt, as though it's a weakness or a flaw. But in reality, it's a part of being human. To truly heal, we must first offer ourselves the compassion we so freely give to others. We must allow ourselves the space to feel without judgment, to hurt without shame. Through this process, something incredible happens. We begin to develop a deeper connection with ourselves and with others. We start to see the common humanity in everyone we meet. We realize that everyone, at some point, has experienced hurt. Everyone has felt the sting of betrayal, the weight of loss, the frustration of unmet expectations. And this shared experience creates a bridge between us and the world. We no longer see ourselves as isolated in our pain, but as part of a larger, interconnected whole. The more we practice this inner revolution, this transformation of pain into wisdom, the more we discover that we are not victims of our circumstances. We are the creators of our experience. By changing the way we relate to our pain, we change the way we experience life. We stop being at the mercy of others' actions, and we begin to take control of our own inner peace. The path to this transformation is not always easy. It requires patience, practice, and, most importantly, a willingness to face our pain head-on. But with each step, we grow stronger, more resilient, and more capable of experiencing the world with an open heart. We begin to see that pain is not something to avoid, but something to embrace, because it is through pain that we find the deepest wisdom and the greatest freedom. In the end, this inner revolution isn't about changing the world around us. It's about changing the way we respond to it. It's about realizing that we have the power to transform our suffering into something greater. When we stop resisting, when we stop fighting, we open the door to a deeper, more peaceful way of being. This is the freedom that Buddhism offers. It's the freedom to be at peace with whatever arises in our lives, knowing that we have the power to meet it with wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness. This is the true inner revolution. Full circle, living the teachings and final reflections. We've traveled a long way, haven't we? From the first wound we felt to the moment we learned that it wasn't the other person who was making us suffer, but our own attachment to pain. We've seen how our thoughts, our emotions, and the way we perceive the world can either free us or trap us. Now, we've come full circle. What we've learned here isn't just about dealing with the anger or frustration when someone hurts us. It's about understanding the nature of suffering itself and the freedom that comes when we let go of it. The teachings of Buddhism show us that it's not the world that hurts us, it's our attachment to the world. It's our clinging to the idea that things should be different than they are. We believe people should behave a certain way. We believe that if someone wrongs us, they should apologize, they should make it right. But in that attachment, in that belief, we find our pain. In these teachings, we discover that we don't have to control others, and we don't have to make the world fit our expectations. We can begin to control the only thing we truly can, ourselves. When we learn to observe, when we learn to sit with our emotions instead of being swept away by them, we create the space to find peace, even in the midst of chaos. Think about it. Every time someone hurts you, it's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity to reflect on your reactions, your attachments, and your expectations. How do you choose to respond? Will you allow the hurt to define you, to take control of your thoughts and actions? Or will you see the hurt for what it is, just another moment in life, passing through like a cloud that will eventually dissipate? There is an old Buddhist saying that goes, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The hurt we carry isn't hurting anyone but ourselves. The anger, the bitterness, the need for revenge, these are things we hold on to, often without realizing that they only cause us more suffering. When we look at someone who has hurt us, what we see is our own perception. It's not just their actions, it's our interpretation of their actions. And in that interpretation, we have the power to choose how we respond. We can choose to let go of the anger and choose instead compassion. We can choose to forgive, not for them, but for ourselves. Forgiveness isn't about excusing someone's behavior. It's about freeing ourselves from the prison of bitterness. It's about letting go of the chains that tie us to past hurts. This is where the real transformation happens. The moment we stop holding on to our pain, we start to let go of the past and live fully in the present. We start to see people, not as the ones who hurt us, but as human beings just like us, with their own struggles and pains. When we stop expecting them to be perfect, we stop holding them to impossible standards. And in that freedom, we find peace. But don't mistake this for passivity. Letting go of hurt and practicing compassion doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect or abuse. Buddhism teaches us to set boundaries, to know when to walk away from situations or people that are toxic. It's about being wise and discerning in our relationships, not about being a doormat. There's a beautiful quote from the Buddha that says, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Part of loving yourself is knowing when to protect your peace. You don't have to stay in situations where you are constantly hurt. You don't have to subject yourself to relationships that drain you. At the same time, though, Buddhism asks us to look at the root of the pain. It asks us to look inside and ask ourselves why we allow ourselves to be hurt in the first place. What are we clinging to? What expectations are we holding on to that are causing us to suffer? Once we see this clearly, we can begin to free ourselves from it. So, how do we live these teachings every day? It starts with awareness. It starts with waking up every morning with the intention to practice mindfulness, to observe our thoughts, and to catch ourselves when we begin to slip into old patterns of anger, resentment, or fear. It's about pausing before reacting and asking ourselves, is this my pain, or am I making it worse by clinging to it? You'll have days when you forget. You'll have moments when you snap, when you let your emotions take over. But that's okay. The key isn't to be perfect, it's to be mindful. The key is to notice when you've fallen into the trap of attachment and gently bring yourself back. Every time you do, you're taking a step closer to true freedom. This path isn't about waiting for others to change. It's about changing yourself. It's about learning to let go of the things that hurt you and embracing the wisdom that comes from seeing things as they truly are, not as you wish they were. Now, as we come to the end of this journey, remember this. You have the power to heal yourself. You have the power to let go of past hurts. You have the power to transform your pain into compassion, your anger into peace, and your fear into freedom. And all of this begins within you. So, take a moment, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and feel the weight of all the hurt you've been carrying start to lighten. With each breath, let go of the need for revenge. Let go of the desire to control how others treat you. Let go of the belief that you can't move on. You are free. You are whole. You are capable of living in peace, no matter what anyone else does. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, the teachings of Buddhism are not just for the moments of deep hurt. They are for every moment. So, As you go on with your life, keep practicing, keep observing, keep letting go, and most importantly, keep loving yourself and others, just as you are. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people actually subscribe. So, please, if you haven't yet, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Writings. Your support helps us continue sharing these powerful teachings. Also, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how this journey has impacted you. Take care of yourself, and may you find peace in every moment.